Okay, we're live, but got to let the stream breathe just for a couple of seconds while we make sure Facebook is on here with us. Bear with us 1 second. And we're good. Welcome in, everybody, to the Huddle Up podcast, presented as always by Mile High Huddle, powered by Overtime Media. This is, of course, an impromptu. I guess these haven't really become impromptu anymore. We've been doing them every week, but this is our rapid reaction halftime stream. I'm your host, Chad Jensen. With me, as always, my partner in crime, my fellow football priest. You know him, you love him. He is Zack Kelberman. Zack, we were hoping for an emphatic kind of bounce back game offensively, not just for Drew Lock, but for Pat Shurmur and this entire offense. But it's been pretty ugly and inconsistent to start. They can't run the ball. Lock starts off really skittish, starts getting a little bit better, but just not on point.
I am pissed. I have had enough of watching this for 5 years now, Chad. Game in and game out. The defense is elite. The defense is championship caliber, and they are constantly carrying and pulling their own weight, and the offense just gives it up. The offense is slobs, Chad. Lock included. Lock, Shurmur, the entire offensive operation. Now even Garrett Bowles is going back to being Garrett Bowles. That's what I've been saying with him. It's too quick to praise him as well. When the wheels have fallen off for the Broncos historically, the last half decade, they fall off all at once. And this game exemplifies what the last 5 years have been. This offense is pitiful. And Locke included, missing Jerry Jeudy in the end zone, being so skittish in the pocket, missing him down the sideline. The play calling is uncreative, unimaginable. It's awful, Chad, all the way around. If I was the defensive players, I'd be requesting a trade out of Denver if I was Shelby Harris, if I was Justin Simmons. I wouldn't stand for this. I'm not sacrificing my health and my body and my career for this kind of team, for this kind of offense. I am reflecting, I think, what the locker room, the early earmarks of the infighting, Chad. When Bradley Chubb and Shelby Harris, they're going off on the offense. I don't blame them at all. This is pathetic.
We got Duke Rose jumping in with the super early. Thanks, Duke. Appreciate it, my friend. He says, "What's up, big dogs? Defense is holding up a little, and I just want to see Locke be a leader and get mad at his guys for not getting open." I would also throw on to that, and by the way, also thank you for the super, Tom. He says, "Oh boy, guys." Zack, I would throw on to that for Duke's point that Drew Lock just needs to be better, dude. Like, the easiest thing, obviously, fans going into this game had some pretty serious QB envy, comparing Drew Lock's struggles in the recent weeks to seeing Herbert putting up numbers. And this has been pretty stark. Like, Herbert's going up against an elite defense, basically, right? The Broncos are top 10 D. And in the pocket, he's been getting pressured, has Herbert. He shows the poise. He stays in the pocket. You know, he moves when he needs to, but by and large, Zack, he's staying in the pocket, making his reads, making his throws. And then, you know, the dam finally broke later in the second quarter with 2 consecutive touchdown drives. Meanwhile, Drew Lock, especially early in this first half, Zack, yeah, a couple of inaccurate throws, but mostly, dude, he's rattled. He's not the same person. Where's the poise? Where's the confidence? Where's the swag? I don't know what's going on with Drew Lock. Something is eating him, and not being able to run the ball has set them up in a lot of second and third and longs, which is just adding fuel to the fire.
Locke has been dumpster juice in the first half. I am not defending him. That is my take looking at you guys right now. But when you mention where is all this, where is all that, where is the play calling to put Locke in a rhythm? Where is the play calling to let him get some completions? It's either run, run, pass, or pass, pass, run, and it's been punt, punt, punt. Punt, 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 punt. It's the same thing every single week. The entire operation, Chad, is trash. You're talking about Justin Herbert. He doesn't look like a world beater to me today. I'm sorry. He hasn't impressed me that much. On that last touchdown drive before the previous one, he had that nice throw in the end zone. The Broncos rushed 3 guys. Josie Jewell and Justin Simmons blew that coverage. And also the defense is left out to dry on the field, series in and series out. It's only a matter of time, like you said, before that dam ends up breaking. I'm not faulting the defense. They are playing a hell of a game again today, and you can only do so much. Herbert, though, he's looking mortal to me today. I'm not that impressed. I'm more angry with the Broncos offense and the Broncos quarterbacking.
Yeah, I mean, it's more of the same. And again, I can't stress this enough. Denver's inability to get the ball rolling on the ground at this point. I mean, I'll tell you some stats. This should alarm the living snot out of everybody. Melvin Gordon, first of all, getting the lion's share of the touches, 4 carries, 4 yards. Drew Lock, 2 carries, -1. Phillip Lindsay, 2 carries, -1. That tells me a lot in terms of the offensive line, Zack. It's not been a good day, and obviously missing not only Graham Glasgow at right guard, but missing your offensive line coach, Mike Munchak, who's in the protocol right now, and then, of course, as you mentioned, Garrett Bowles, 2 penalties in this game. It's taken its toll, and then it's putting Drew Lock into some pretty, let's just say unfavorable situations. And what he's proven up to this point is it's a trend now. It's not, you can't point to it as an outlier. This is now 3 games in a row, Zach, that he's strung together. Very skittish, very inconsistent, sub NFL quarterback play.
Yes, there's no two ways about it. There's no way to defend him, Chad. We've been his staunchest supporters, and we can't do it anymore, at least for that first half of that game. He has been bad today. He's looking like less than a rookie quarterback, like he has no idea what's going on, like he majorly regressed. And that's on Lock. But also, if he gets all the blame, what about the coaching staff? What about the quarterback whisperer? What about Mike Shula? Why are they not getting any blame or criticism for how Lock has regressed under their watch, whereas he progressed under Scangarello? The entire operation, Chad, is futile. It's hapless. It's lousy. It's awful. It's terrible. If Fangio wants to make changes, he could talk about benching Lock or doing this or doing that. If he wants to make real changes, fire Pat Shurmur. Make a real change. Make a real stand. Get involved with the offense. Put your foot down. It's time.
Yeah, I mean, something's got to change soon. And Fangio's kind of copacetic. I mean, he took a step forward during the week of preparation, saying that there's nothing good. Everything about our passing game has to improve. And obviously, that's quite the indictment on Shurmur. It's also an indictment on Lock. But yeah, if they can't turn it around coming out of this second half, something needs to change. And Jay Fig Vids jumping in, appreciate the super. He says, offense is garbage, terrible. George, appreciate you, my friend. He says, Shurmur has to go. Tom's saying, I'm having a hard time watching.
You and me both, Tom.
Yeah, it's really just been painful. And your heart, once again, goes out, if you're a fan, to this defense that, came to play today. Mundungus, the wizard, appreciate you. He says, oh boy. Yeah, I mean, it's more of the same. And Zach, the defense came to play, but as I mentioned before we went live, expecting, if you're Pat Shurmur and you're Drew Lock, expecting your defense to pitch a shutout is not a strategy for winning. I mean, it's time to get things going. And I think, honestly, this disconnect, Zach, it has to really be boiled down to Pat Shurmur. As you mentioned, they're, sleeping on the job, whatever. Let's just say presiding over the regression of Drew Lock. Something's got to change soon. I just don't know what it's going to be, especially if you're Vic Fangio, knowing that here you are mid-season, midstream. And Najal Top, by the way, absolutely brutal brothers. Lock looks like he has lost complete confidence. Unfortunately, no options but to play him. Hard to stomach another season of this, Zach.
The only semi-excuse I'll give is Tim Patrick lost today, Chad. His absence is massive. He's pretty much the most important component of the pass-catching core, except for Noah Fant. Not having him out there, not having Cortland Sutton out there, he has no veteran receivers. He has Jerry Jeudy and KJ Hamler, and KJ Hamler still can't get involved. But this isn't 1945. You can't win games 3-0. You can't win games with field goals. In this day and age in the NFL, you have to score points. And when I look at a team like the Chiefs, Mahomes had a nondescript game. He threw for 416 and 4 touchdowns. That must be nice. I would give anything for half of that at this point, Chad. And just see the offense go out there and have no guts, no you-know-what, no fortitude. The defense is playing Super Bowl caliber week in and week out. Again, if I'm defensive players like Justin Simmons, I'm requesting a trade out of Denver.
Isaiah 11:27 says, why can't we look like an NFL offense? OMG. We got the Broncos wizard coming in again. Appreciate you, my friend. He says, it doesn't seem like offensively anything changed from the last few weeks scheme-wise. Am I missing something? Is Lock overcompensating now? Shurmur going too conservative? I will pick one bone with that, Mike, and it's not to disagree with you. It's to say that I can tell the emphasis from Pat Shurmur to Drew Lock is to go through his progressions and take what's underneath. I mean, there was a point there where Lock had completed 4 of 5 passes, okay, and he had 12 total yards. He was just checking it down. And the few times Mundungus says Sam Martin for MVP.
It's true.
And the one time he goes deep, he's got Jeudy by a step or two on his man, but it's one step too deep. And so I think there have been, you can see where the coaching emphasis change has been for Lock, but it's unfortunately, Zach, it's one thing to be able to go through your progressions and when it's not there, check it down or take what the defense gives you. That's great, Zach. But when you're setting yourself up as an offense with 2nd and 10, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 12, 3rd and 14, 3rd and 16, guess what? Checking it down for 5-6 yard gain, we're seeing what the result of that is on 3rd down.
And when they do run, it's such an creative play call. It's a dive up the middle. There's no tosses. There's no misdirection. There's nothing in motion, no jet sweeps to get the ball in KJ Hamler's hands. It's just so unimaginable, Chad. It's so vanilla. And this is a guy who was twice a head coach, a long-time offensive coordinator, and this is what he draws up. This is what he brings to the table when you have a potential franchise quarterback and Drew Lock, injuries or no injuries, we would have seen this play calling regardless this season. So again, as much as it's on Lock, and guys, again, I'm making no excuses. He's testing my patience. I'm starting to kind of understand the groundswell a little bit, but the same criticism has to be deferred also to the coaching staff because he has looked infinitely worse under Shermer and Shula's watch.
Whatever these coaches are doing with Locke, they're squandering whatever opportunity the Broncos have with Locke, okay? And the tools that were apparent last year in those 5 starts under Scangarello. And even in week 1, like Locke was solid. He wasn't a world beater, but he was solid. Right. Coming out of that injury, coming back since he returned, man, it's just been pretty much south. He played well in those first 3 quarters against New England, but it's been straight downhill from there. And Jeff says, Locke is losing me. Appreciate the super, by the way, Jeff. This is so disheartening, and it's hard to blame anyone, Zach, for feeling that way. I think even at this stage, if you're not questioning it at the very least,
I am. I know that.
It just means you're not paying attention. I mean, at this stage, it's hard to really get a beat on who's really who's dropping the ball. Is it the coordinator? Is it just simply Locke needs to step it up? The offense, that's another thing, Zach, that Fangio talked about last week, is that it takes all 11 guys. And all 11 guys are failing themselves, especially on first and second down. Kevin Peterson, thank you, my friend. He says, if you can't stand tall in the pocket, we are screwed. Stop backpedaling, Drew. And I agree. That's one of the big obvious differences, what you can see between Herbert and Locke today so far. Herbert stays in the pocket, trusts his protection, stands tall, makes the read, makes the throw, connection. Locke's very rarely did that. He started doing it in the second quarter, but those first 2 or 3 possessions, man, he'd hit that back foot of his drop and book it.
Herbert has good coaching. I mean, Herbert's coaches have advanced him beyond his rookie capabilities. He doesn't look like a rookie out there, whereas Locke looks like a rookie, and that's on Locke, but it's also on the coaching staff. If you put Locke, let's say, on the Chargers, or you put Locke on the Ravens or the Chiefs or the Packers, I wager he's a much better quarterback than stuck with Scangarello in his first year, who did a lot of good. And fans are coming around that he really wasn't the problem. He wasn't that bad. He was a scapegoat. Shermer, though, is not an upgrade. He wasn't a lateral move. He's been a failure. He's been worse than Scangarello, and he's failed the Broncos, and he's failed Drew Lock.
I want to grab this one here from JT. As I'm going to read Mike Evans real quick and serve this over to you and grab this one from JT. I don't know where he went. John, I don't know if you can throw Mike back on. Okay, you got JT. Kliss reports. Thanks for the super.
Thank you.
Eyes on Fangio as he could bench Lock. What on earth did they work on after the defense told home truths to the offense? It's a joke. Well, I haven't seen that tweet because I've been focused on this stream with you guys up to this point. But, it's at this point, if you're Vic Fangio, it's been incompetence up to this point. So you got to look at your options. And even if it means, Zach, sometimes you got to send a message to a player, to a quarterback. And you can't rule that out if Locke can't bounce back in the third quarter.
Well, how about I see Fangio pacing up and down the sideline? Get in a player's face. Open your mouth. I mean, this tough guy, quiet routine, this mob boss figure, and this allure that he likes to have, it doesn't hold much water when he's very passive on the sideline. Get in the player's face. Rile the team up. You're the head coach. Stop deferring to your assistants.
Mike Evans, appreciate you, and I agree 100%. We've got to get Lindsey involved. Let's pass the ball to him. We need to get him out into space.
I've given up on that.
Listen, he made it out of concussion protocol in time to play. I understand if you might be a little concerned if you're the coaching staff to use him too much, but if he's on the field, you got to use him. And so far, Melvin Gordon's revenge game has been a complete impotent whoopee cushion sound. Insert here. Really bad. Justin Ansell jumping in. Appreciate it. He says, I'm about to throw up. When does Vic take control and get rid of Shermer himself? I don't understand why this keeps happening. We're turning into a laughingstock every year. I can't take it anymore. Zach, the problem is the Shermer move was all Vic Fangio. It was all Vic. So he would have to really fall on a sword. Talk about eating some crow. We might have to eat some crow on Drew Lock if he doesn't turn it around soon. Vic Fangio to do something like that with Shermer after he made the decision to fire Skanks and hire this guy would be quite the indictment.
Not turning into a laughingstock. They have been a laughingstock for a couple seasons now. So that's the state of the Broncos. Chad and I both hoped, a lot of Broncos country hoped, they would put themselves back on the NFL map. It really hasn't happened. They've gotten further off the map. But Chad, in the last 5 years since they won a Super Bowl, there's been one constant. It hasn't been the coaches, the players, the quarterbacks. That's been John Elway. So when they have another terrible season, when he presides over who gets hired, the coordinators, he has final say. Fangio might want the guy, but Elway has final say. You have to start questioning again, for all the good he's done from 2018 until now, why the Broncos offense and the Broncos team still looks this bad. He's the common denominator the last half decade.
No doubt. The buck stops with Elway. Ren99 jumping in. Appreciate it. He says Shermer has to go. He's the whole reason our offense is as bad as it is this year. The offense was actually decent with Locke last year, not this year. And here's another thing, though, to add a complexity to the whole issue of who's to blame when you're pointing fingers. Pat Shermer's offense looked like it had, it was half decent on the road against the Jets. Yeah, it was the Jets. And that was with Brett Rippon, who was making the right reads, staying in the pocket, making the pre-snap protections, doing what a competent NFL quarterback should do. And he doesn't have all the talent in the world. He's got what it takes between the years, but he doesn't have a drop in the bucket what Drew Lock has naturally as talent. So that's why, and Mark says here, punt, punt, punt. What's up, my guys? We suck. Hashtag football praise. It's been bad, Zach.
Yeah, punt, 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 and suck, suck, suck. That's the state of the Broncos offense right now. It's really terrible. And I don't think he's going to fire Pat Shermer. I don't think he's going to go to that extreme. I think he'd sooner bench Drew Lock. But you know what? Watching that Jets game, looking back at it, I gave Denver and the Denver's offense a lot of credit. But watching the Jets today against the Chiefs and watching them lately, that was a gimme game for Denver. They should have wiped the floor with them. So it's not something that deserves praise. They should have won that game. In the games that's followed that Jets game, though, it's been pretty awful to watch.
Malachi Smith, appreciate you. He says, as the game's getting back going again here, the third quarter just kicked. Well, we got to go rapid fire through these. He says, Shermer's play calling is awful. Locke needs to be better. And why the heck is Gordon our main back today? We question
coaching.
That very thing.
Coaching.
Stu Meat with a very generous super sticker.
Thank you,
Really
Stu.
appreciate you, Stu. Means a lot to us, my friend. And I know that there's still quite a few supers here. Let me see what I got. Brian G, BG. There he went. Brian Greenfield, he says, this is hard to swallow watching another season of zero offense. What would you guys suggest for us next season if this continues? And we will never know what we have in our wide receivers, our rookies. Zach, if this continues, it's pretty simple in terms of, look, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to get too much into like head coaching and GM and stuff, regime change stuff. But from a personnel level, if this continues, unfortunately, Locke would have lost his opportunity. That was that. And the Broncos will end up with the top 10 pick if this continues. And you go back to the well, in all likelihood, if it's this magnitude of bad the rest of the season. I mean, there's still 9 games to go after this, so a lot of things could change. But this is now this is the third game that Locke has stretched this questionable play into.
I'm 100% with you word for word there. He has more games that'll follow if he hangs on to the starting role. He can still salvage his audition for 2020, but based on the way his last 3 games have gone, if you prorate that the rest of the season, they will draft or acquire a quarterback next year. That would be a guarantee.
Craig jumping in to say, appreciate you, Craig. This is tough to watch. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I might miss Skangs. I thought he was the worst OC ever, but Sherman's proving me wrong, and Locke is seeing ghosts. Zach, Locke was seeing ghosts, especially early in this game. He was bailing right up that back foot. He got a little bit better with his pocket feel and staying there and trusting his protection in the second quarter. But again, critical mistakes and not always on Locke. I mean, Garrett Bowles holding penalty after they'd moved the chains with KJ Hamler, a few other critical errors that weren't necessarily on Locke, but Locke does need to improve. The offensive line needs to open up some holes on the ground. And Carlos says, will they bench Locke? Oh man, tough half. It's apparently Kliss is floating it as a possibility, which means it probably is on the table if Locke doesn't turn the ship around quick.
Yeah, I mean, I still would. He would have to throw. I think he'll get the start in the second half, but if he throws a pick or he looks bad, I think they will pull him and put in Brett Rippon.
Chandler says, appreciate the super. He says, starting to understand why Shermer has bounced around the league these past years. Well said. Kenneth Sims says, the issue is Locke. Appreciate the super, Kenneth. He lacks the high QB IQ to play at this level. He lacks anticipation with his balls. Late balls make wideouts look like they aren't getting open. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not ready to say Locke lacks football IQ. I think there's a lot going on here with regard to the full recipe and the full equation as to how this adds up, the total sum. There are a lot of different factors, but definitely Drew Lock has been very disappointing to everybody, the fans, his teammates, and his coaches.
I've looked at Locke with a little sharper lens today, and that Judy pass in the end zone had no touch to it, Chad. The Judy pass down the sideline, he can't throw his receivers open. And that's what I'm noticing with Drew Lock. It's either he throws a rocket straight in a line or he gets lucky over the top. There's no arc to his passes. There's, like the comment says, no anticipation. I'm starting to see the flaws in his game. It's on him, but also where is the coaching staff either hiding those flaws or improving those flaws? I don't see it.
Miguel, appreciate you. He says, fire Shermer. And
Agreed.
that's kind of a groundswell. Kenneth Booker says the interior O-line getting blown up. Thanks for the super, Kenneth. We're running out of time here. Some of these we might have to circle back and grab for the gut reaction after the game here because we hate leaving any of our superstars out in the cold, but we're already a little long here. Jeff says Fangio won't
Fire Shermer
because he only cares about the defense. Whatever. Maybe. I mean, that's Fangio's first focus, but he is a head coach too, Zach.
Yeah, I just he doesn't get involved enough. I think he'll defer to Mike Munchak, who was a head coach, and Pat Shurmur, who was a head coach, and I think that's wrong. He is the head coach of the Broncos. He needs to step in there.
All right, guys, let's see one or two more, and then we'll dip out. And remember, Zach and I will be back where we can kind of let our hair down in the gut reaction immediately following the game. So make sure you're back here with us. Mike says the loss, and appreciate the super, Mike. He says the loss of Sutton is showing to be devastating. Locke doesn't have that reliable deep threat or sure-handed safety blanket. He clearly is shook by the pressure and is seeing ghosts. Definitely seeing ghosts, Zach. And if he doesn't bounce back soon, and Chargers are moving the ball, it's looking like they're only going to add to the pressure here.
Yeah, defense, I think, is waving the white flag a little bit. Speaking of seeing ghosts, I see a lot of Broncos fans want Sam Darnold, and that is the worst idea I've heard yet, Chad. He is a downgrade on Drew Lock. So if not Drew Lock, then don't go after Sam Darnold. Just want to throw that out there. No to Sam Darnold.
If at some point it becomes emphatically obvious by the end of this season, and maybe that happens sooner than later, that Drew Lock is definitely not the future. Sam Darnold is not the guy you want to pin your hopes on, especially if you're John Elway. He's damaged goods. And if the Broncos do something different at quarterback, you do it in the draft. Oh, touchdown. Charger, or come out on the third quarter, drive the field, boom.
Pass, run.
Yep, to Mike Williams, Herbert to Williams down the right sideline. So Chargers are now putting it on the Broncos. But here's the deal. We're going to bounce out for now, guys. If we miss one of your supers, I'll check it out after the fact. We'll have them ready to go, and we'll address you and thank you in the gut reaction. But we'll see, man. The Chargers they just came like a hot knife through butter on this first possession in the third quarter. Zach, we'll see how the Broncos respond. Now it's time, I guess, throw everything out.
You're right.
Hurry up and move the ball.
Yeah, maybe the Broncos run a play action or a screen or a bootleg, maybe something a little outside the box. Then they have nothing to lose. And you know what? We can hope for the best, but it's looking like the Broncos offense can't overcome that. They can't score touchdowns. They can't move the ball. It's looking like game, folks. Sorry.
All right, listen, we'll be back here immediately following this game. Again, if we missed your super, we will catch you on the other side in about an hour and some change. So keep your chin up. Let's see how this plays out. And Zach and I will be back for the gut reaction immediately following the game within about a 5-minute window of the final gun. So, Zach, we'll see how it goes. For Zach, I'm Chad. We'll see you here in just a little bit longer, and we'll spend some time, an hour plus, going through the aftermath of however this game shakes out.